Hey guys, this is your girl, Miss Sound Little Cole, and I want to talk about, and I know this is may hit some people, may make some people cry, but McDonald's is set to close 200 stores. Yes, and we're going to talk about it. Let's get into it. Yes, it's your girl, Miss Analytical, and I am live on Spreaker right now. So if you want to head all over to Spreaker, come over and listen to what I'm about to say about McDonald's, and head over to YouTube when I post this as soon as I'm finished with this commentary. So basically, McDonald's, aka Mickey D's for all y'all who grew up in the 90s as kids, is set to close over 100 stores. And they're going to do this not all over the world, but within the U.S. And this was reported by People magazine at 3:41 this afternoon. So I just found this out and I'm going to report to you. So according to People, it says McDonald's is permanently closing 200 U.S. locations due to pandemic. McDonald's reported its lowest quarterly profits in 13 years. And it says McDonald's is closing 200 U.S. locations for good, the fast food company announced on Tuesday. The closings come as McDonald's reported its lowest quarterly profits in 13 years, according to Financial Times. The chain's net income fell by 68% to $483.8 million. McDonald's additionally reported that revenues have fallen 30% in the second quarter, and global same-store sales fell by 23.9%. While speaking to analysts, CEO Chris Kempczinski noted the novel coronavirus pandemic as a reason for the closures. In many markets around the world, most notably in the U.S., the public health situation appears to be worsening. He said, according to CNBC, nonetheless, I believe that Q2 represents the trough in our performance as McDonald's has learned to adjust our operations to this new environment. I'm certainly not qualified to make any predictions around whether you're going to be in recession or not. But I certainly say there's a lot of warning signs out there that would suggest that the consumer's sentiment and consumer concerns about the economy is negative and going in the wrong direction, he later added. Chief Financial Officer Kevin Ozon offered more optimistic news, sharing that July sales trended up and he expects them to end up being slightly positive for the month overall. McDonald's is now one of many fast food chains that are struggling amid the global pandemic. Outposts of IHOP, Denny's, Ruby Tuesdays, and TGI Fridays have all permanently shuttered due to hardships brought on by the public health crisis. Though many chains are only shuttering certain locations, some have closed for good. Popular West Coast chain, Soup Plantation, also known as Sweet Tomatoes outside of Southern California, announced it will not be reopening its doors after all its locations were temporarily shut down at the start of the coronavirus pandemic. Le Pain Quotidien, a fast casual bakery chain, announced it would close all 98 of its U.S. locations after filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in May. Though at least 35 stores will potentially be reopened at a future date following a partial buyout by RFE Brands. So, in other words, 200 of these McDonald's stores over the U.S. are closing, and it's due to the pandemic. Now, I'm going to keep it real. I do believe that it is because they're not making any money due to the pandemic. But I'm not going to slowly say that all this caused these stores to close. I'm familiar with fast food. I've never worked in the fast food industry. I want that to be known. But I frequented a lot of fast food restaurants in my youth. I can tell you, when a store is closing, it's because the sales were bad for the last 3 years. They don't just close because of a crisis. It doesn't work like that. What they'll do is, if a store that was selling a lot, earning a lot of revenue, it suffers because of a pandemic. Unless they don't own the property, they are going to salvage and save the store. What they'll do is they'll keep it open longer, or they'll basically cut back staff. So somebody who may have been full-time, they may say, listen, we're going to scale back your hours. Or somebody who's part-time but earning, let's say, 20, let's say they was making 28 hours a week. They were earning that, getting 28 hours a week. They may cut them down to 20. And they may only work for 4 days out the week. So that's what they'll do. But that's only if they're good workers. The bad workers they get rid of. Now, as far as the stores goes, the stores necessarily, if this is a good performing store, they'll keep it. Now, if it was bad all through and then a pandemic hit, they're going to close it. That's why they close these stores. These are the stores that were performing not so well, but when the pandemic hit, it's like, oh, we can't save it. So in order to save the good ones, they got to get rid of the bad ones. That's the culture of retail in general. But I'm going to say this. McDonald's as a brand has been suffering since the end of the 2000s because of the quality of their food. I haven't had McDonald's since June of 2008. I have not had McDonald's since June of 2008. Okay? And when I tell you I was an avid McDonald's consumer, I would go to McDonald's, I would say, every day except for Sunday. And I kid you not, McDonald's food is not healthy. Because when I stopped eating McDonald's, okay, I kid you not, the first time I stopped eating was the summer of 07. I lost 30 pounds in a matter of 2 months. Kid you not. Because I weighed myself. Then, when I ate it again here and there, I never really ate a lot of it from that period when I started again. But I realized it didn't taste good and I stopped. And ever since then, I've never been the way I was once. Okay? So McDonald's food is not healthy. And it's alleged that it's not even real. What it is, the truth though, it don't spoil. The food don't spoil at all. I've seen experience about it. So it's a good thing I stopped before it was going on, before the truth was coming out. So a lot of these videos that were being made about McDonald's in the last years is the reason why they also are closing too. It affected their sales. They're not going to tell you that. They're just going to say, oh, the pandemic. No. McDonald's has been suffering for a very, 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 very long time. Okay? For a very long time. Now, what I will also say is this. McDonald's as a brand, they don't market to diverse communities. They only market to the Black community. And they've been doing this for the last 20, I would say the last 20 years. It's always been like these singers. They all have like, it's like urban. They market to urban communities. They don't market to white communities. They don't market to, now they do market to Hispanic communities also, but they don't market to white communities nor Asian communities. They only market to Black and Hispanic communities. So that was telling me something wasn't right there. Okay? When I was a kid growing up, they would market to everybody. Whites, mainly whites, blacks. And the food was good. When they had that styrofoam plate with the trays in it and that old-fashioned label, it was good. When they changed from styrofoam to that box, even though I was eating it, that was the beginning of the end. They need to go back to that old recipe of how they made their food, because it was real and it was good. I mean, it was real. And not only that, even the restaurants, like when you go to the McDonald's, even Burger King, when they had the wooden chairs, the parquet floors with the tiles, and then the white, I mean, it made it, and then the plants around, it really had, it had a real homemade look. When they were trying to capture like that whole nouveau 1990s look, it's never been right. It hasn't been the same. I have to say that. I really have to. And that's the reason why I would say McDonald's hasn't been doing good. When they went from taking out that recipe, changing the styrofoam, it has gone down ever since. When they went to that box in the early 90s, it's been going down more and more. And I can tell you practically all my friends don't eat McDonald's. They don't eat it. If they go to fast food, they'll go to Burger King, they'll go to Wendy's, but they will not touch McDonald's because they know what time it is. And on that note, it's your girl, Miss Little Cole. I am signing off. I'll be back with another video. Stay tuned. Take care and enjoy your day.